This is 80/20 Programming, your place to master the art of programming by solving problems and building projects. This is 80/20 Programming, your place to master the art of programming by solving problems and building projects. Hello, thanks for tuning in. If you're here, I'm guessing you're interested in learning how to code. I'm a firm believer in the 80/20 principle and feel that if you use that technique, you will get very good results quickly. On this channel, you will learn to code by doing. We will work on problems and build projects, learning as we go. For this video, we'll be working on a platform called Code Wars, and we will solve a problem. I usually use JavaScript and sometimes Python to solve these challenges, and so this is a good place to start. And as I work along in the problem, I'll explain everything as I go, so you'll pick up pieces of the syntax and how the code works straight from the beginning and really learn how to implement these things as we work. So as you can see, I have selected as the first problem work called its function 1, hello world. Okay, this is in Code Wars, and so in Code Wars you work problems, and as you work in problems you start as an 8Q rank, and you work your way up. So the more problems you solve, the higher up in the rank you will go. And anyway, so I've selected this as our first problem in JavaScript as the language I'll start with. Okay, and so we'll come here and we'll hit train. Okay, and this opens up a browser sort of window and gives you some tips, about how to be effective in the system. Okay, so let's look over here. Description: make a simple function called greet that returns the most famous hello world phrase. This is common in computer programming. You're learning a new language, you're implementing a new tool, to test it out, really, to see if it works. You make your screen print back that hello world. Okay, so we come over here and clear this message out. Now in JavaScript, when you declare something called a function, you have to name the function, and to do that you say function. Okay, and it's got to be called greet. Okay, now notice these parentheses. Okay, the parentheses will hold a parameter, and it'll basically tell the function what to do, by user input or something like that. Okay, then you got to have the curly brackets, and you break these apart. You'll see how this is set up. Okay, and then you want to, as it says, return. So we will return, okay, hello world. Okay. Now this right here is what's known as a string. Okay, and it's basically, it could be a sentence, it could be anything, but it's letters, numbers, anything that's in between the single or the double quotes is a string. Okay, but you got to have matching. It's something worth noticing. So you got to have a single quote here and a single quote there. Anyway, so function greet return hello world. Okay, so in Code Wars, once you get your function or your problem in a position where you think it's solved, you come down here to test. You click test, and it looks like I was right. Okay, it passed 2 of the tests. And so testing function number 1, is it a function? And it is, because I created a function. Okay, and then correct the return value, and it says I passed on that. Okay, so it says, I passed this first set of tests. And so when you're ready to submit, you come here and you hit attempt, and it looks like I passed on all the tests that they run through it. So you come and you do submit again. Taking a second to load. All right, and here it is. Congratulations, I completed my first kata. Okay, that's good. I earned some points. Okay, now one thing you don't want to forget is when you're working in Code Wars, you can rate the kata. Okay, so if you rate it very good, you're satisfied, and you learned something. You click that, and it gives you an extra point. If you can notice up here, okay, because your points are always increasing and you're gaining rank. Okay, and so what I like to do is when I solve the problem, okay, so you can vote for solutions to help other code warriors and uncover the best ones. Okay. Anyway, I like to spend some time reviewing other people's work. And there's a lot of good answers in here. Here's the function "hello world." JavaScript. Sometimes you can put the semicolon there at the end of each line. You're not necessarily required all the time, but it's a good habit probably to be in putting it there. But anyway, people rank them, and you keep climbing the ranks. Okay, so I solved it in JavaScript. Now, what I would like to do is come into Python and solve it again, because I'm like to learn as I go, and so I'll come here and I'll switch to Python. All right. Oop. Let me train again. I'm gonna do it in Python this time. Now Python is a little bit different. As we work along, you'll learn, the differences, and you'll learn, different facts about each language. But it's another good language to learn if you're a beginner. Okay, and so with Python, when you're creating a function, you got to start with def. That means define. You're defining a function. In a lot of ways, Python's kind of similar to JavaScript. Okay, so you do greet. Okay. Okay, Python is where it's different is JavaScript has the open curly brackets. Python has the colon. Okay, and so you put the colon, and then you hit enter and you come down. Now Python, instead of using the brackets like JavaScript, Python requires it to be indented 4 spaces. Basically, each level you go down. Okay, so this is I'm defining the function greet, and right now it's. Let me back it up. Show you. See, with my cursor. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're not 4 spaces, it's goes against the way the community likes to see Python written. It's for readability, really. Okay, but the same thing. It's return. Okay, Python's the same. You can use double or single quotes. I'm using double. Hello world. Okay, now I'm back. This should be a good function in Python. Let's try it out. I'm down to test, and we've passed. So, as you can see, it's kind of the same. It's a little bit different. But these are building blocks. You'll learn functions. You'll learn strings. You'll learn the proper syntax as we go along. So I'll attempt it and see what happens. Perfect. Okay, I passed. Submit. And wait, that doesn't make sense. Ah, there we go. See? So I passed, and I've been able to do it. Now we can take a few minutes and review. These are other code warriors who have done the same thing. Some people go really in depth with what they do. Okay. Anyway, that's kind of it. You can look at your profile and see where you are. I've trained you. Every time you train a language, it'll appear here. I trained JavaScript and Python today, and so I gained a little bit of points and percentage, as far as climbing the ranks. As we go along, the problems will get harder, but being hard will make it better for you to learn. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. Hey, thanks for watching. Please, if you found this video helpful, like the video, hit that subscribe button, and share this video on social media. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let's master the art of programming together. This is 80/20 Programming, your place to master the art of programming by solving problems and building projects. Hi, and welcome back. As you know, this channel likes to take a problem-solving based approach to learning programming. And today we got a pretty, beginner-friendly challenge. We are once again in our Code Wars browser, and we're solving a problem, a string problem with JavaScript. A string is one of JavaScript's basic data types and is used to represent text. Although really anything can be in between the start and the end quotes. As you see in the screen, they have a bunch of uppercase I's or a bunch of hellos. As long as what's in the string is surrounded by matching double or single quotation marks or backticks, it's considered a string. Okay, and so what I like to do is I come into the Code Wars onto the Code Wars platform, and I start by reading, looking at the Q rating, what it's called, and then look into the description. Okay, and for this problem, we're asked to write a function that accepts an integer n and a string s as parameters and returns a string of s repeated exactly n times. Okay, and it shows some examples. Input, output. Okay, so input would be a 6 and a capital I, and so it means it wants the I repeated 6 times. Input 5, hello. It means it wants hello repeated 5 times. Okay, so this is the problem we're going to start with. We come up here to train, and it opens up the system to where we can work on the problem. Okay, so over here on the left, you see, it repeats what I just read. Okay, down here on the bottom, you might be looking at this and wondering what it is. This is the testing. Okay, that it'll go through and test what your response is. And okay. So anyway, here we are working in the problem. As you see, we start off with a function, declares a function, repeat string, okay? Inside the parentheses, you see an N and an S. These are parameters, okay? So these are what's going to be passed into the function. So it could be anything, user input, whatever. It's passed in, so it's passing in the N and the S. So remember now the N is the integer, the number of times we'll repeat the string. Okay, JavaScript requires these curly braces. Okay, so this function for it to operate properly has to have a set of curly braces, and then the actual function is is inside the braces. So you see already we return in 2 single quotes. Okay, so this is a pretty straightforward problem. We know we want to repeat the string, so what we do is we repeat the string. Okay, and there's a built-in method in JavaScript called repeat. Okay, now this will repeat the string however many times you put in it. Okay, so we're putting in n, which is the parameter for the number of times. Okay, it's pretty simple once you start to understand these little building blocks. And this is a specific method that works in JavaScript. Repeat. Okay, so we have the functions that set up the parameters, and we are going to return the string repeated n times. Okay, we'll come down here to test. and it passes. Okay. That's pretty much what we have to do, and we'll attempt it. And as you see, I got it correct. And submit. We'll come here. Taking a second. Okay. And you see, the most common response is what I just did when we worked a problem, which is I used the repeat method on it. Now, since I can also program in Python, I'm going to do it in Python as well. Now, Python is a little bit different, but I believe, you're learning these programming languages. If you start to compare them, you'll see that they kind of operate a lot in the same way. Okay, we're going into Python to solve the problem, and it's not letting me. Okay. I don't want a solution, I want to solve it. All right. Okay, now Python's a little bit different. We define the function. We have the repeat, the number of times we want to repeat the string and the string. Inside the parentheses, we have the colon. Okay, we come down into the function. As you notice, it's indented 4 times. I believe this can be indented just 2 times, and it'll still pass. It's still a legitimate Python. Well, the system will let me, but 4 times is the community's the standard they like. As far as the style, the Python style. Okay, so Python's just a little bit different, and you'll see. So we come in here, we want to return, the string. So we put string times repeat. Okay. Now with Python, if the string is an actual string and then the repeat is an integer, a number, it will print out the string repeated the right number of times. So let's attempt it and see what we get. And we pass. As you can see, the languages are a little different, but once you start digging into the language, each language, you will see that they're kind of similar, especially when it comes to certain things. I mean, once you learn how to make functions and things like that, which we'll start covering in more detail as we move along, because the problems we work will get harder and harder. Okay, and so we come down here to submit. And I don't know. There we go. Well, that's slow, but anyway, as you can see, we start looking through, and the way I did it was kind of the same as the first 2, but then we come down the row here, and you see people are making different kinds of solutions. Okay, this person creates a variable solution as an empty string, and then they use a for in loop over the range of repeat, so it would count up to add the string to solution and then return it. So you can come up with very creative ways to solve these problems. And as we go along, you'll find out that we do too. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you again soon. Hey, thanks for watching. Please, if you found this video helpful, like the video, hit that subscribe button, and share this video on social media. Also, feel free to leave a comment, and let's master the art of programming together. This is 80/20 Programming, your place to master the art of programming by solving problems and building projects. Welcome back. As you know, I like to take a problem-based approach to solving to learning the code and learning, really whatever. Anyway, today we are continuing that journey. So we are once again in our Code Wars platform, and we're working on the 8Q level of problems. We're starting with JavaScript, and today we're working on another string problem. As you know, a string is one of JavaScript's basic data types, and it's used to represent text, although it really can, be anything as long as it's contained inside a single quote or a double quote or a backtick. They have to be matching. So we're going to go ahead and work on this problem. And we're in JavaScript. So first we come in here to train. We'll click on that. Okay. And so we read the instructions. It says complete the solution so that it reverses the string passed into it. Okay. And it gives a couple of examples. It says word, and it'll reverse the order of the letters, world and word. All these are reversed. So we come over here to the section where we actually work the problem. So we see the function is set up, with the keyword function, and then the name of the function, which is solution, and then inside of the parentheses you have a parameter called str, short for string. And we have the open and close curly braces, and we create the function inside of that. Okay, now there are multiple ways to solve this problem. For our solution today, we're going to use some of the built-in methods that JavaScript has, and there's a bunch of them. So first, this is going to be a little bit longer than most people will solve it, but I'm trying to show some basics. So first, I'm going to define a variable called ARR, short for array. We'll set equal str dot split. Split is a string method that will break down the string, and it can really be based on a lot of stuff. As you see, for an example, I have a single space in here, so this will separate the string down into characters. Okay, and then we're going to use a couple of array methods too. Okay, so I'm just for demonstration, we'll do another variable, ARR1 equal ARR dot reverse. Reverse is an array method that will reverse the characters inside of an array. Now you might be asking, what is an array? And an array is just a bunch of, just a container that can contain elements of various types of various things like letters or numbers, and they're indexed, an indexed set of elements, and it starts at 0. So as an example, say you're talking about cars, you have a list of cars. Okay, so you got square brackets, and you have a car. So we have a Ford, and the cars, Toyota, and Tesla. Okay, this is an example. This is an array of cars. Okay, anyway, back to the problem. So let's go back to where we were. We created an array by splitting the string, and then we used the reverse method on the array and created a new variable called array1. Okay, and so this will reverse the order of everything that's in it. So if your original array is CAR, it'll turn it to RAC. Okay, and then finally we'll join it. Joined, another variable, equal ARR1 dot join. Okay, now join is an array method that takes an array and creates a string out of it. Okay, and so we got that. So we got let join. Now if this is right, it will answer the problem and it will reverse the string. Okay, let's test it out. Okay, and so it passed, as you see. Now this is a longer way of doing it. A lot of people kind of shorten it. So what they would do would be, we'll comment this out. See these slashes? That means it comments it out. That means the reader, the code reader, the interpreter will not read this. It'll pass by it. So what a lot of people would do would be they would return str dot split dot reverse dot join. You can chain these together, and if you test it again, it should pass again. Okay. But anyway, that's how you solve one of these problems. We're in JavaScript. Let's submit it and see if we get credit for it. All right, it passed. We earned some points. We're going a little bit slow. Okay, and you see the chained method using these, chaining them using the methods is kind of the popular way to answer it. Although people come up with a lot of different ways. You see for loops and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, we'll do that. Now let's move over and try it in Python. See if we can figure that one out. So let's go up here. Go to Python. Okay, wait. All right. Details. Oh, I gotta train it again. Okay, it's the same problem. We want to take a string and we want to reverse it. So let's do it in Python. Now, Python is, it's a popular language. It's really powerful, used in a lot of stuff. But you'll notice that Python kind of has a lot of the same things in many ways that JavaScript does, and this is implemented a little bit differently. So what we're going to do in Python to solve this is okay, we'll get rid of the pass, and we'll look at it again. We got another function set up in Python. So we define the solution, which is a function. It takes in a parameter called string. You notice that it has the colon. Okay, so and we're indented 4 spaces inside the function. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll declare a variable called, we'll do an X. Let's see, let's do array like we did in JavaScript. Okay, we'll use the built-in list function that Python has. We'll pass the string into it. Okay, this will create an array out of the string. Okay, then we will use the built-in reverse function, and this will reverse the array, the order. Okay, then what we want to do is return this empty separator dot join. This is a built-in function. Okay, and we will pass array into it. Okay, and if I did this right, this should answer the problem in Python. And it did. Okay. Let's see if it, yep, we got what we needed. All right. Let's see, submit again, and we'll go into the, well, that doesn't make sense, but okay. Here we go. And these are the solutions. Now, if you look, it looks a little bit more complex. And it's just Pythonic. It's, people like to see if they can make the answer as short as possible, and that's really all it's about. So they're using some array slicing to get to the answer with this one. But you can come up with lots of different ways to solve the problem. And you might be thinking, well, where do you get this information as far as like the join, and how do you figure that out? Well, if you're looking at JavaScript, we come up here in a place called the MDN. Okay, this has JavaScript and CSS and HTML. Okay, and you can come in here and you can search for what you want to do. So you can search by JavaScript or HTML or CSS. Okay, and then you can, when you find what you're looking for, I mean, like this is for string. These are all methods that work with strings, and so this is like, if you notice, this is the split method. It describes what it does, and it shows an example and really breaks it down. Okay, this is for reverse. Okay, and it's kind of the same thing in Python. If you're interested in learning more about Python and what you can do with it, you can go to the official documentation on python.org, and you can search. But there's also online, there's all kinds of stuff, and you can really figure out how to break apart what you're learning and create things. Okay, but this is developer.mozilla.org, and this is docs.python.org. And this is how you find information about the language. And each language, I mean, there's a lot of languages. Each language or each tool that you're using usually has some really decent, some documentation. I'm not gonna say it's good, because sometimes it's not. It's hard. You got to really learn how to decipher it. But that's how you figure out how to find certain things. So you can go into the documentation and it'll show you. Anyway, that's this problem for today, and thanks for watching. Hey, thanks for watching. Please, if you found this video helpful, like the video, hit that subscribe button, and share this video on social media. Also, feel free to leave a comment, and let's master the art of programming together. This is 80/20 Programming, your place to master the art of programming by solving problems and building projects. Hello, welcome back. If you're just joining us, you'll know this channel is one that teaches programming principles by solving problems. I focus on a practice-based approach, and really you'll learn basic principles of software design engineering by solving these problems. And right now we're working in the Code Wars platform. And so today, this is the problem I've chosen for us to solve. Okay, it's an 8Q, remove first and last character. Okay, we look at the description. It says it's pretty straightforward. Your goal is to create a function that removes the first and last characters of a string. You're given one parameter, the original string. Okay, you don't have to worry about strings with less than 2 characters. Okay, so we come up here and we hit train. Okay, and this opens up the system and gives us a spot to work. Okay, now if we notice, we have the basic function declaration. Okay, we got function, remove char. Okay, the string, the str is passed in as a parameter. Okay, and then it's our job to solve it. Now, you might recall that string is a basic data type in JavaScript. It's really, it could be a word or a sentence, anything between single quotes, double quotes, or backticks. Yeah, it's supposed to be a string. Anyway, we want to remove the first and the last character of the string. Okay, and so we understand what our parameter is, and then we want to return, what we want to return is really just the middle portion. Okay, and then down here in our sample tests, it shows a few examples. So if we have eloquent as our word, a string, we want to return the L through the N. Country will return O through R. Okay, and you see how that operates. That should give you a good idea of what you want to do. Okay, and so a good thing to do is start thinking about the code, what you want to do, and then how you would do it. Okay, there's a lot of ways to solve these problems. You could come in here and declare a new variable. A variable is really just a box to hold something. In JavaScript, you can use let or const or bar. Those are ways of declaring a variable. Okay, so we'll do new stir. we'll set it to an empty string. Okay, and then we could use a for loop to iterate over the original string and return portion of it. And so we could do for let I equal 1, I less than str.length minus 1, I plus plus. Oh, I do that for plus plus. Okay. Now, if you notice, this is kind of an interesting thing here. So we've got a for loop inside. This is really, we declare where we start and what we're going to work up to, and then the number of steps. Okay. But that's a for loop in JavaScript. Okay. And then as we're working in the for loop, we do new str plus equals stri. This will basically, for every iteration, it'll put a letter that's not 0 or, not the first letter or the last into the new string. Okay. And then we do that. And then we come down here and we return str. Okay. Now if we did this right, we should pass. And we did. But, you'll find that there are many. Let me see if we can pass all of the test suite. Oh, so we passed all of it. We got credit. This is, it's a fairly beginner-friendly approach, but if you take some time and you read the documentation, you'll find there are other ways to do it. So, for example, let me comment this out, okay? I could have come in here and did something called some slicing on the string. So I would do return str.slice, okay, 1, -1. Okay, let me test this one. And it passed again. This is a much shorter method. This is probably the preferred method of solving it. If when you get into the answers, we'll find out. And this is a little bit unique, and you might be thinking, well, what's going on here? Okay, and so in slicing, it'll return really a slice of what you want. Okay, and so this is, it shows where you want to start in the string and where you want to end. Okay, so you start at 1, and you say, well, why are you starting at 1? These items are 0 indexed. Okay, so 0 would be the first letter, 1 is the second, and so on and so forth. -1 is the end. Okay, the very end. So this will tell you start at 1 and work all the way up to, but not including the end. Okay, and so let's do this to see if we got it. And and that one passes as well. Okay, so spend some time working these problems, looking in the documentation. You'll find interesting ways of solving them. Let's submit it and see what we got. Okay. Now, there we go. You see, the last method I chose to do is actually the first, the most popular way of doing it. Because in these code war systems, people like to see if they can solve the problem with the shortest amount of code. And so, don't let that bother you. Really, what you want to do is learn to solve the problem, and then once you develop more and more skills, you'll figure out ways of doing it quicker. Okay, and now in Python, what we're going to do is, let me move to Python. Okay, I'll train again, since I'm doing it in Python this time. I'm going to show you the long way of doing it, or one of the long ways. You could use a loop, or a lot of ways to solve this problem. What I'm going to do is declare a variable called sx, use the built-in list function, and pass in s, that parameter, that string. Okay, and we're going to come down here, and I'm going to declare another variable, and we'll call it arr. Okay, and we'll do x 1, -1, and a. Okay, and I'll return and I'll use the join function. Okay, and so this is the same thing. This is, I create a list, which a list is kind of like an array in JavaScript. Okay, I created a list out of the function, the parameter, the string parameter. Okay, and it's x. Then I use some slicing on that list. Okay, and so I want the second element, the second character in the string, up to up to the last. Okay, -1, and then we'll use the join function to put it together and return it. Let's try this. Okay, and it passes as well. Let's see. Go do the attempt. All right, it passes all the tests too. Now, but you'll find that there's a lot of ways to solve these problems as you work them. I could have come in here and said, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'll return S1 minus 1, and this will work too, I believe. There we go. You see? But anyway, as you work these problems, you'll learn there's a lot of ways to solve this stuff. And the thing is, you're working this stuff and you're picking up the basics. You're learning how to look at a problem, how to take it apart. You solve for simple things, and then you put it together, and you can build bigger and bigger things eventually. And that's what the goal is. Okay, and so when we get to okay, and you see the last way I did it is actually the preferred method, or the most popular method in Python to do that. But if we scroll down through here, you see there's lots of ways. Someone did an if-elif statement. Okay, people get creative in these things. Anyway, this is about working the problem and finding solutions to it. You go to the documentation. You read up on these methods of doing things. Like here's the slicing in JavaScript that I was talking about. This is the section on for loops in JavaScript. Python has its own documentation, but that's it. You come in here and you take these problems apart. You figure out, what's being passed in, what you need to return, and then you look at some examples and you start thinking through how you would break it apart and solve it. Anyway, that's pretty much it for today. I appreciate you watching, and go ahead and like and subscribe, and I'll keep putting out videos like this. Thanks. Hey, thanks for watching. Please, if you found this video helpful, like the video, hit that subscribe button, and share this video on social media. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let's master the art of programming together. This is 80/20 Programming, your place to master the art of programming by solving problems and building projects. Hello, thanks for stopping by. Today we continue our journey into learning JavaScript and Python using a problem-based approach to learning. And as you are aware, we teach the basics of those two programming languages. We're in the platform known as Code Wars, and we're solving problems. Okay, so for today, I've selected an 8Q problem. It's another string problem called abbreviate a two-word name. Now, as you know, a string is it's a data type in JavaScript and Python. It's really a series of characters between single quotes or double quotes or backticks. Learning how to manipulate and work with strings is extremely important because there's a lot of text-based data that comes in that you need to work with. So let's choose the problem and get into working it. Okay, so we push train. Here we are. Let's see, I'm going to select JavaScript first. So you scroll down and you choose JavaScript. Go here and you push train. Okay. Now we read the instructions of this problem. We are to write a function to convert a name into initials. This kata strictly takes two words in one space, with one space in between them. The output should be two capital letters with a dot separating them. it should look like this. Okay, so we get a string Sam Harris. Our function should separate it into s.h, capitalized. Okay, so it's a good idea when you're working these problems to use a system called prep. Okay, it means you look at the parameters, what parameters you're accepting into the function, into the problem, what you're expected to return. You look through a couple of examples, you make a couple of examples up as far as what you're supposed to return and work with, and then you work through some pseudocode. Okay, the pseudocode is just basically plain English, us writing down and working through in English or in your language what you want to do before you actually start doing it, the coding itself. Okay, and so we look at the function, function, a brief name, and takes a name as a parameter. Okay, now we're in here where we're going to do the actual coding. Okay, now for this method, I'm going to do it in two ways. I'm going to start off with a simpler, more beginner-friendly version, one possible version. Then I'm going to write it a little bit more advanced. That way you get an idea of how you can write solve these problems. Okay, and as you advance your skills, you'll get more efficient at solving the problem. Okay, so first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to split the name array, the string into an array. So I'm going to do in1. Make it name stir. Okay. Name dot split. Inside the split, I'm going to put quotations, and I'm going to separate it. See how there's two spaces? That means it's going to break it into multiple chunks, not just letters. Okay. Then I will do another variable, name stir1 equal name stir 0.2 uppercase. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing, and I'll explain it. Let name stir 2 equal name stir 1.2 uppercase. Okay, now I've split the array, or split the string into an array. Okay, so since the string had 2 words in it, this splits it into an array of 2. So you get the first and the last name. This variable here, let name stir 1, accepts as a value the name stir variable at position 0, which is the first name, and then uses the 2 uppercase method, string method, to capitalize that variable, the name stir 1 variable. Okay, so it takes a name and it takes the first letter and makes it capitalized, and then the name stir 2 does the same thing except for to the last name. So we got name stir 1, which is the second position, and 2 uppercase. Now, arrays in JavaScript and most programming languages, lists in these programming languages are 0 indexed. Okay, so that you start your counting for elements at 0. So the first element is actually 0. So you want to think about, you got the first element but -1 because we start with 0 in the program, in the system. So it's 0, then 1, then 2, and so on. Okay, and then we're going to return it. To return it, I'm going to use something called a template literal. Okay, now this is interesting because what it does is it will take whatever I put in these curly braces, or in these, well, I forgot my $sign. This is how you have to put a $sign in front. Okay, period, more curly braces, name stir 2. So got that one wrong. Back that up. Name stir 1, name stir 2. Okay, this is a template literal. It's in behind the back. It's the backticks, and then Then to put a variable, so I'm putting the variable, this first variable in this first spot, this second variable in the second spot. So we got the $, or bling as it's called, then the curly braces, the variable name, closing curly braces, the dot, and the same thing for the second initial. Okay. Now if I'm correct, it should work. Oh, I did not. Okay. What I didn't do is kind of the same thing. Here we go. Let's see. It still does not work. What am I doing wrong? Namester, I split it. Namester 1 equals namester 0 to uppercase. Okay, that makes the whole word uppercase. This makes the whole word uppercase. And you run into problems like this all the time when you're doing the programming. You think you have your problem written out correctly as a I see. That's why it's supposed to be 0. Okay. Now, as you see, let me walk you through this problem again. Let's try it one more time. Make sure I got it right this time, and I did. Okay. So I come in here, and we have name come as the parameter. So that's the name you want to abbreviate. Okay. This number 3, the first real line of code in this problem, let namester equal name.split. I'm splitting the name into 2 words. So first and last, Sam and Harris. Okay. Then in this variable here, I take the first name, which is the 0 position, the first name, and I make it uppercase. Here in the second, in this one, I take the second name and I make it uppercase. And then in the return statement, I used template literals to take namester position 0 and 1 position 0, that's the S, dot namester 2 position 0, that's the H, and put it together as HS dot H. Okay. And then let's see what we got. All right. I passed. I got points. Now, if you were more advanced and you really wanted to get because a lot of people aim to get these problems solved in one line of code, or make it more efficient anyway. So what I would do, Control Z, I'm going to save that up there so you can see it. Okay, we'll comment it out. These slashes makes it a comment to where the compiler will not read it. Okay. So if I wanted to be really fancy, what I would do is I would do a return statement. I would do quote dot join. Wait. No, I'm getting ahead of myself. Name dot split. That's right. Put my thing in here. The quote and the separator to the 2 spaces to separate into words, and then I would do map. This is called an arrow function. I 0 to uppercase. Okay. And then I will explain this after I get it written out. And we'll do our join, okay, with a period inside. That means that the period is, we're putting 2 letters together with a period, okay. Anyway, what this is I use a return name.split. Okay, this splits it into 2 words, and map. Map is it's a function, a built-in function, an array function that creates a new array by calling a given function on each element in the array. Okay, so basically map I will, so we got it split. Map I means it'll go through, and each element it'll map this function, the I0 position to uppercase. That means it'll take the element, the first position in the first spot element in that array, and put the uppercase method on it, and then join it with a period. Okay, so let's test it out. And it failed. Why did it fail? And it says over here, to uppercase is not a function. And well, it should. This is. Let me see. To uppercase is not a function. This is very interesting because it should work. So we name dot split. Okay, we split it. Dot map. All right. We map it. We have I to uppercase. See, little things. The little things can sometimes mess you up. But there we go. So you see now we have two versions. We have the more beginner-friendly version, and then we get into it a little bit more advanced. Now this is probably a more popular version of solving it because people like to make short code. But the thing is, if it works, great. You refactor it. Okay, you create it, make it work, and then you slim it down. You keep on trimming and trimming and trimming. Okay, these are both acceptable answers. So let's attempt it and get our credit for it. All right, let's see. Okay, we passed. We're very satisfied. We come in here. We spend some time when you pass these tests. Spend some time reviewing the code that others have written and placed here. That gets you a feel for reading through the code, and get your brain ready to think. Okay, so you spend some time reading. You see the same kinds of methods being used. Okay, all right. Now, next we'll solve it in Python now, and you'll see that I'll probably take a similar approach in Python until I get to the more advanced method. But anyway, let's see. Get up here. We'll go to Python. Okay. Train again. Now, in Python, it's the same problem. You will notice that the def keyword define a brief name, and then name is a parameter, the colon, okay, and then return down here. Return is indented, as you can see, because Python requires indentation. Okay, so we'll start by defining a variable. Let's see. We'll start this with names. Names equals name dot split. Okay, Python has kind of a lot of the same kinds of tools that JavaScript does. First name equal names 0 dot upper. Okay, last name equals names 1 0 dot upper. All right. Okay, and we return. This is going to be a little unique to you, but it's kind of the same as a template literal. first name dot second name. I'm going to go with that. All right. So let's look at this now. See if it works first. Don't want to get ahead of myself. No, it did not. Let's see. Second name is not defined. Last name. Oops. See, this will tell you when you make a mistake as you're running your formula, your code. If you make a mistake, it'll over in this section, it'll show you kind of where you have to learn how to read these. So trace back most recent call. It starts in these little scripts. It starts at the top and reads it down. So the most recent call will be the last one it got to before it failed. Okay, and so we got down here, and then it says line 5, an abbreviated name, line 5, name error, name second name is not defined. I had misnamed that variable. Instead of last name, I used second name. So this one should work. So let's push test and see, and it passed. All right, which is good. Let's see if we get full credit for it. We attempted, and we got full credit for it. All right. So in Python, people like to make the simplest code they can using all of Python's functionality, and there's really a lot in there. So if I wanted to, let me comment this out. See, in Python, it's kind of the same way. It's a comment, but the comment, instead of using a slash, is instead it's this symbol here, the pound symbol, or the hashtag. Okay, we come back in, and we're going to write another one. This is a shorter, more Pythonic version, and so we're going to return dot join. It's kind of the same tools that JavaScript has in a lot of ways. X 0 for X in name. Okay, name dot split. Yes. Dot upper. All right. Let me see. Let's do a test to make sure I passed it, and then I'll explain it. All right. Okay. This Pythonic version, we return join with the period separator. That's where we'll be joining into one. X 0. That means for the X element, this is the 0 spot. So the first initial of the letter of the name. Okay. For X in name dot split. Okay, this is called list comprehension. It's a little bit fancy way of making a list out of another list. Okay, as you know, a list is an array. It's just named differently, but it kind of operates. A list in Python operates kind of like an array in JavaScript. Kind of. There are differences. Okay, so we got name.split, and then we put the upper method on it to make each first letter capitalized. Okay, and that's kind of it. This is probably a preferred method when we get into it and see the other code. So let's do an attempt, see if we passed it, and we did. You look over here, you see we passed. There was 205 tests ran on the for the function, and they passed. So that's good. Let's go and get full credit, and as it loads, we'll see. There we go. All right. As you can see, the way I did it, we did it was kind of similar to the number one way of doing it. Best practice, Pythonic. But there's other ways to do it. You can do splitting and all kinds of slicing to get to the answer. It's just a matter of coming in here and, every day you're working your problems, you think it through. You think through, what are we accepting in as a parameter? What do we want to return? Think of a few examples of what you would like to return, and then work it through, using pseudocode. Work it through, in writing. So for example, we come in, we know we want to split the name into two names. We know we want to get that first element in each name, the first initial in each name. We know we want to capitalize the initials, and then we want to return them joined, in a string with a dot, a period, separating the two initials. You just got to think it through and work it through. And eventually, over time, this will start making a lot of sense, and you'll start picking up little ways to solve these problems quicker. But that's kind of it for today. I appreciate you stopping by, and have a good day. Hey, thanks for watching. Please, if you found this video helpful, like the video, hit that subscribe button, and share this video on social media. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let's master the art of programming together. This is 80/20 Programming, your place to master the art of programming by solving problems and building projects. Hello, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, and if you want to learn the basics of JavaScript and Python, you are in the right place. I teach coding using a problems-based approach. That means we'll work through popular programming problems, and as we do, we will learn the basics of JavaScript and Python and programming. Today's problem will be really fun. We're solving 8Q in Code Wars called Is It a Palindrome? If you don't know what a palindrome is, it's a word, a number, or a phrase, or other sequence of characters that reads the same backwards as it does forwards. Good examples of palindromes are words like race car and madam. They're spelled the same backwards and forwards. So as you can see, we're in the Code Wars platform, and this is the problem we've selected. Is it a palindrome? Okay, we're under JavaScript as our language. We'll hit the train button, and it opens up the platform. First, we read the instructions, and it's write a function that checks if a given string, case insensitive, is a palindrome. Okay, so we look over here where we're going to be doing our work, and we see the classic definition, function definition, declaration. Okay, function is palindrome x, accepts a parameter x. And we know that's going to be a string. We also know that's going to be case insensitive. That means you could have uppercase, lowercase, whatever in there. So what I like to do is I like to use something called the prep, methodology. And basically, we look at the parameters, what we're accepting into the function, and then what we're going to return out of the function. We look at some of the examples. Okay, so down here in the testing site, we can look at some examples that it'll be testing. Okay, and then we walk through some pseudocode. Pseudocode is, us breaking down the problem into our common language, English for me, and then breaking it down into small parts, okay, and what we want to accomplish in each step of the function. Okay, so for this problem in JavaScript, we know we want to make all the letters lowercase. Okay, we also want to split the string into an array. Okay, then we want to reverse the order of the letters. Then we want to join the array into a string. And finally, we want to test if the new string palindrome. Okay, so this is kind of our pseudocode. Okay, we'll return our answer. Okay, so first, as we know, a string is a basic type in JavaScript, and to turn a string into lowercase, we would want to say, we would define a variable, and it would be input stir equals x dot to lowercase. Okay, that turns it into lowercase letters. Okay, then we have a string and we want to split it into an array. An array is it's like a holder for elements. Okay, and it expands based on the number of elements, 0 indexed. So for example, we want to turn the string into an array. We would split it. Let arr equal input stir dot split. Okay, notice inside the parentheses there's quotation marks, and they're kind of clear, one space apart. That means it'll break the string down into separate letters. Okay, now we come down to the reverse the order of the letters. So to reverse the order of letters, we will do let reverse array equal arr dot reverse. Okay. JavaScript has a lot of methods built into the language that can help you solve problems quicker. One of them is reverse and split, lowercase. There's quite a few. Okay, we reversed the string, and now we want to join the string, the array into a string. Okay, so we would use the join method, and so that's going to be let new str equal rev r dot join. Now this is the same thing. Join, you see I have two quotes in there, quotation marks, and it's got one space between it. That means it will join it together into a word, take the letters and put it into a word. Okay, now we've done this, and we should have an array or a word, a new string, and it should be reversed. Okay, now to test it, we're going to do something called an if-else statement, a conditional statement. And the if-else, can return something known as a Boolean value. And Booleans are, it's another data type in JavaScript. Okay, and what this is, it'll return true or false, yes or no, off and on. You have one of two options. Okay, so that starts with an if. In JavaScript, you got to put your if condition, your else condition inside a parenthesis. So we want to say if input stir equals new stir, return true. Okay, then we want to say else return false. Okay, so if we've done this right, we should remove all the uppercase letters, split the string into an array, reverse the order of the letters, join the array into a new string, and then compare the input string to the new string. So we'll come down to test, and it passes. If we attempt it, let's see if we get credit for it. Okay, we've passed all the conditions and passed and earned points, and we passed the test. Now, I want to take it up a notch and show you a little bit more advanced way to answer this. To get you thinking about how to solve these problems, because there's a lot of ways to solve it. So I will comment this out. As you know, these two slashes will comment out the line. There's ways to write multiple lines as well. We'll show that in another video. Okay, so if I wanted to do this a more advanced way, I would start with the return, and I would say x dot split. Okay, I'm splitting it. Dot reverse the array. Dot join. We'll join them. Okay, and then once we get to join, we will go dot to lower case. Okay, and then we throw our equal sign in here. Equals x dot to lower case question mark true or false. Okay. Now this uses some of the same methods we used in the earlier example, except for I have added something called a ternary condition into it. And this is just an easier, more efficient way of writing the if-else statement. So you have your condition here, your whole condition, which is if x dot split or dot reverse dot join dot to lowercase equals x dot to lowercase. Okay, it'll be either yet a true or a false. Okay, so let's test it. And it passes again. You see, there's a lot of ways to solve these problems. So let's go ahead and attempt to get our credit for it and go into to review the problem. Okay, and you look, the way that I solved it is kind of the most popular way. It's very straightforward and one line. People try to get this code broken down into one line, but as long as you understand what you're doing and you make it work, I think at first that's the best way. Just make the solution work and then start refactoring it and slimming it down and making it more, I guess, take up less space. Okay, so we've solved it in JavaScript. We're satisfied with the kata. Okay, and now we're going to go into the Python method of solving it. Now you guys notice in Python we're going to solve it kind of the same way. Okay, we look at it, it's the same thing. We have the function set up here with def. The keyword def is palindrome, s in parentheses, colon, s is the parameter. Okay, it's the same kind of deal. We know that we want to take the string and make it lowercase, all the letters. We want to turn the string into a list, because lists are like arrays in Python. Lists are like JavaScript arrays. Okay, and then we want to reverse them, reverse the order of the letters, turn the letters back into the array of reversed letters back into a string, and then we want to test if it's a palindrome or not. Okay, so as a beginner-friendly method of solving this, what I would do is I would first s equals s dot lower. Okay, that turns it into a lowercase in Python, turns the whole string in lowercase. Okay, then we will use the list function. Okay, this is a built-in function, so we'll turn the string into a list by doing it like this, s. Okay, it turns into a list of letters. Okay, then we will reverse them, and so we will do reverse is another function built in Python. Okay, and then we will join them, and so new str equals join. Okay, put array in there. Now we come into the part where we're testing it to see if it is a palindrome or not. So we'll do an if statement. If new str equals s, new str equals s, return true, else return false. All right, so we have it written out. We turn s lowercase, turn it into an array using the list method, a list function. We reverse the letters, turn it back into a string, and then we test it to see if it works, if it's a palindrome, by comparing the new string to the original, to the s variable up here. Okay, we will test it. and it passes. Okay, let's give it a little attempt. All right, and it passes. So this would be a basic kind of way of a beginner-friendly way of solving the problem. Okay, and to solve it in a more Pythonic way, I guess, we would do this. Let me comment this out. Okay, so you can see it. Comment it out. You notice that in Python, comments are these hash marks, hashtags that comments out a line. Okay, so we want to come in 4 spaces. Okay, because Python, instead of using the brackets, the curly braces, Python uses indentation for spaces, for a tab or 4 spaces. Okay, so we would do the return statement, and then s dot lower equals s minus 1 dot lower. Now this is a more Pythonic way of answering it. You want to make it as simple as possible and readable too, and so this is how it's probably most popularly done on this test. Anyway, let's come down here to test, and so it passes. So what this is a return statement. It compares s, lowercase s, to s in a system slicing. Okay, and so this is the start spot, the stop, and then the step. So this tells you that it wants to go negatively. So starting at the rightmost side, left until it gets to the end, is basically reverse it and dot lower. Okay, but this is another way of solving it. As you work through these problems, you'll learn ways to manipulate this data to get what you want it to do, so you can pass the sample tests. Okay, so we'll attempt it to make sure it passes all the tests, and it did. Okay, but anyway, as you do this stuff, spend some time, reviewing the code, review your code. Come in here, and when you open it up and you've successfully completed it, or even if you didn't complete it, you just worked at it really hard for 20 minutes and you say, I can't do this. Come in here and review what other people have done. Spend some time, 15, 20 minutes reading other pieces of code and really take the time to understand it. Understand what it's doing and what the successful submissions are doing, and you'll start picking up little pieces and you'll be able to do these problems better. Anyway, as you work these problems and if you run into issues, leave a question or a comment and we'll work through it. I'll answer it and we'll work through it, and we'll learn together. But anyway, that is the end of this video, and thanks for watching. Hey, thanks for watching. Please, if you found this video helpful, like the video, hit that subscribe button, and share this video on social media. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let's master the art of programming together. This is 80/20 Programming, your place to master the art of programming by solving problems and building projects. Hey, welcome back. If you're new to this channel, I'd like to say that this channel, we teach basic coding principles, basic JavaScript, Python principles, using a problems-based approach to solving, to working, to learning. Okay, and today what we're doing is we're in the Code Wars platform. We'll work a problem in it. This is a string problem, but we'll also get into some if-else statements and things like that. Strings are one of JavaScript's basic data types, and really what it is you can make a string by using a set of single quotes or double quotes or backticks, and then you have characters in between those. So it could be a name or a sentence or something like that. Anyway, we're working in the Code Wars, and so the problem I've selected for today is, are you playing banjo? It's an 8Q problem. So we'll open it up. Okay, and we're going to solve it in JavaScript. Okay, and the description says create a function which answers the question, are you playing banjo? If your name starts with the letter capital R, or lowercase r, you are playing banjo. The function takes a name as its only argument and returns one of the following strings. Name plus plays banjo, name plus does not play banjo. Names given are always valid strings. Okay, so we'll come up here and we'll hit train. This opens up the platform and gives you a place to work, and it gives you some sample tests and things like that. Now, what I like to do, I use something called the prep method. And prep really stands for, you evaluate the parameters that are coming into your function. You think about what you want to return, to the console or, to the testing suite, whatever. You look at some of the examples, and then you think about some pseudocode. Okay, so first we look at these examples. Okay, and so it says that one of the examples brings in, an argument is Adam. It says Adam does not play banjo. That's what it will return. And it returns that because Adam starts with an A instead of an R. Okay, and so what we're going to do, we'll think about the pseudocode and how we intend to solve this. Okay, now we know already that the string is always going to be valid. That's what it says here. Okay, so that takes care of the parameter. We know we're accepting a string. And then what we want to do, we want to evaluate whether or not the person, can't spell today, plays banjo. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to use something called an if-else statement. Now, if we come up here to the documentation, we see that an if-else statement executes a statement if a specified condition is truthy. If the condition is falsy, another statement is, then the optional else clause will be executed. So we come down here to look at the example. They say if A is greater than 0, result equals positive, else result equals not positive, return result. Okay, that's the basic function in this example. Okay, and so they pass in as an argument -5, and we know -5 is not greater than 0, and so it should return not positive. And down here in the console log, it does. It returns not positive. Okay, so this is an if-else statement. Okay, and so what we're going to do, we're going to come into the testing suite and we're going to put an if. Okay, parentheses. Okay, then we're going to do name 0. Okay, equals big R, or name 0 equals little r. Okay, I'll explain this after we get this rolling here. Okay, and then we will return. Okay, we'll use something called a template string, and we'll do name. Oh, forgot my curly braces. Name plays banjo. Okay, we'll get that back outside of there. I'll put that. Okay, name plays banjo. Okay. All right, and then we'll come down here and we'll do an else. Else return the other template string. Name does not play banjo. Spell play banjo. Okay, now let's look at this. Now, I haven't done the test or anything yet, but we want to see if I'm gonna walk you through this. Okay, so we have the function declaration, the name of the function. Are you playing banjo? In these parentheses, which are required, you have the parameter name. Okay, now this will be whatever's passed in, and we know it's always going to be a string. Then we have the opening curly brace. Okay, now inside and way down here, you'll notice we have a closing. That's required. So everything inside the opening and closing curly braces will be our actual function, and it has to be like this. This is the formatting, the syntax we use. Okay. Okay, and then we have our if statement. So we have if and all this good stuff here. Now what this is, this name 0, name square brackets and 0, we're doing something called cell slicing. We're string slicing. Strings are indexed like arrays. They start at 0. So when we go name 0, we're looking for the first letter of the name. Okay, and this 3 equal sign, that's this checks for equality. Okay, and it checks, if the value and the type of whatever is being tested is the same. And then we got the big R set up as a string because it's what we're looking for, is a string. Okay, a capitalized R. And these two things here, they're called pipes. So we have 2 of them, and that means or. So we've got looking name, equals R, big R, or name equals little r. Okay, so it's the same thing across the first letter is what we're looking for to compare. Okay, so if these two are either the big R or the small r, it'll return the template string which says name plays banjo. Okay, this is a template string. It's the backtick and the $sign or bling, and set of braces, curly braces, and then a variable comes in here into the middle between those, and then we have the rest of our string. So let's come down to the test and push it and see what happens. Okay, and it passes. Okay, so we pass all of our tests. Okay, which is good. Let's see if we can get full credit for this one. All right, and we do. Now this is kind of the, I guess the way I would, when I was first starting, this is how I would have solved the problem, but there's tons of ways to solve it. You can shorten it. So here what we'll do, we'll comment this out. Okay, comment that whole section out, and I'll shorten it and show you another way to solve it, just so you get a feel for it. And the more you do this, the better you'll be able to solve these problems. The more efficiently you'll be able to solve them. Okay, first we'll do our return. Okay, we'll do name plus. We'll do name 0. We'll make it lowercase. Wait a second. I'm lost with what I want to do. It happens, you're working in this stuff, and your mind kind of goes blank. Sometimes you're working through a problem and you think you have it figured out in your head, or your brain just goes out on you for a second. Okay, now I'm back. We do, okay, name to lowercase. So this will take the first section of the first letter of name and make it lowercase. Okay, and we'll do our same equals R. Okay, you can have 2 equals, we'll do equality, or 3. 3 is a stricter type. It'll do type and value. Okay, then we'll do R. Okay, and then we will do if. This is our ternary operator, plays or does not. I gotta fix something real fast. If I don't leave a little bit of a space, when it adds them together, it'll shove to the name and the plays or until it does not play. It'll just shove them together, and that's not what we want. Okay, plus, let's see, banjo. Okay, oops. Okay, now this should work too. We'll give it a test and then we'll talk about it for a second. And it does not. Okay, let's see why. Okay. You see, I did not leave a space. See, because if you look over here, where it failed, it kind of shows you what you failed. And so you kind of look at that and you work back from it. And so if you look at it, it says expected. This is what I returned. Adam does not play banjo. It's all together. Where it's supposed to equal Adam does not play banjo. And so what happened is, right here, where I was doing this concatenation, I did not leave a space. Okay, so we're going to return the name, which is passed in, plus concatenate, inside these parentheses, name 0, this is name index 0, which is that first letter, to lowercase. This is a method that turns that name 0 to lowercase. equals R, equality, R, small r. Okay, this is our ternary operator. So you have your condition, and this tests it. If it does equal R, returns name plus plays. If not, return the name plus does not play banjo. Okay, so let's come in here and we'll do the test again, and we passed. Okay, so you see there's, let's see if I can make a full attempt on it before okay, yeah, I passed all 101 tests that they ran it through, that it runs it through. Okay, but as you can see, there's multiple ways to solve these problems. This is JavaScript, so if we come in here, we look at it, we can see, there's a lot of ways, and people, they spend time and they get creative, and you can do the same thing. You're working through these problems. Okay, so where there's that, now what we're going to do, we're going to switch over to Python. Now you'll notice, we're working in Python, that Python kind of, in a lot of ways, some ways, works a little bit like JavaScript. If you know if you learn JavaScript really well, it's pretty easy to learn Python. If you know Python, it's pretty easy to learn JavaScript. But then it kind of works like that for most languages, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to learn the basics. You're trying to understand how to implement a function and what it does, how to do an if statement, conditionals, that kind of thing, how to create variables and stuff. Once you learn those basics, you can kind of go from language to language, and you can be really effective at it. So it won't take you long to pick up a new language. So we select Python. We'll come to train again. Okay. Now it's the same thing, the same problem. And we look at it. We have the classic, the required def. That's how you define a function. Are you playing banjo, which is the name, and then we have our parameter passed in, or the colon here, which is required. Okay. Now, okay, as you know, Python is 4 spaces, and this has to be indented. So that's what we're going to have to do. Okay. Now this Python is kind of this. I will solve it kind of the same way. We'll start with an if statement. Name 0 equals R, or name 0 equals little r. Okay. Return, we'll do something called an f string. Now this is kind of like a string template in JavaScript a little bit, and it helps format the string. It'll put a variable into the string and gives you a little bit more flexibility when you're writing things that would return a string. Plays banjo. Okay, we got that. Else. I forgot I'm going else with this one. Else return name does not play banjo. All right, closing comma to make it an official string, f string. Okay, now if I've done this right, this one should work too. So we'll hit the test, and as you can see, it does pass. Now, that's how I would start this if I was, just completely starting out and a beginner, and I was learning about strings and splitting strings and, if and else statements, and, that's how I would start it out. But here's what I'll do. I will comment this out. You notice everything that has a hash mark beside of it is grayed out. That means that the compiler will not read it. Okay, people do that. You can comment your code out, or you can write comments in your code so you can understand what's going on. It's pretty important. Okay, what I would do if I'm going to come in, I want to shorten this a little bit. I'll do it the same kind of way I did with JavaScript. I will return the name plus. This is going to be called concatenation. If you're familiar with Excel, you know how to concatenate items in Excel. This is kind of the same in the most programming languages. Okay, we'll come in here. We'll do plays. I forgot my space. If you don't put the space, it won't do it, right? If name 0 lower, it's a function in Python that makes letters strings lowercase, or makes strings lowercase, equals R, else do another string inside, does not play. Okay. And then we'll do another concatenation outside. This will be kind of the same thing. Banjo. All right, let's see if this one works. But see how much shorter that is? You know, you come in and you can look at it and you can read it. I mean, you know, you want to return the name plus, it was concatenate plays, if name, the first letter of name dot lower equals a small r. Okay, else doesn't return a name does not play. And then we'll add the banjo to it with a concatenation. So let's come in here and do the test again. And it does not pass. And did I do the same thing? Yes. If you notice, the spots that I failed is exactly the same spot under JavaScript. You know, Martin does not play banjo. It's all together. It's supposed to be separated. And I didn't do that, and it was because I did not put the space there. Okay, and so this one should work. So I'll hit the test, see what we got. All right, now that one passed, so I passed both of them. You know, the beginner friendly, and then the little bit more advanced version of it. But yeah, that's it. That's all we have to do. Anyway, you work in these, probably attempt to make sure I get credit for it. All right. Oh, and I passed this one test 105, but I passed all of them, which is good. All right. Okay. Well, that's it for today. Let's go into and see what we have going on here. There we go. All right. Means you can come in after you do it. Come in and review. Take some time. Read through, and actually read it out loud. Okay. That'll get you, really thinking about how it works. Your brain, when you're reading things out loud, you're taking the time to actually absorb what you're doing. You'll come in here and you'll start reading. You'll say def, that means define. Okay, we're making a function. Are you playing banjo? And so on and so forth. Take the time, read it. The repetition, you come in here every day, you follow along, you work these problems, you get repetition every single day, and you'll start learning how to put things together and how to how it flows together, how to we're making functions. We'll learn how to do all kinds of stuff as we progress. And it's just, you're building the basics. And once you know the basics, though, you can do a lot of things. Okay, but if you come in here and you struggle, you can leave a comment, and I will talk about it. A good place is you come into the documentation for whatever language you're working on, and every piece of every language, every tool, really, whatever, no matter what it is, Python, JavaScript, whatever, it has documentation. And this is written out in ways, and usually it has examples and stuff for you to follow, so you can come in here and you can look up what you want to look up. It works for Python as well. But yeah, just spend some time with it. Follow along. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to Google this stuff, or ask questions, and you can figure it out and you can learn. Anyway, that's it for today. I appreciate you stopping by. Thanks. Hey, thanks for watching. Please, if you found this video helpful, like the video, hit that subscribe button, and share this video on social media. Also, feel free to leave a comment, and let's master the art of programming together. This is 80/20 Programming, your place to master the art of programming by solving problems and building projects. All right, welcome back. We're working today on more string fundamentals in Code Wars, solving problems, learning JavaScript and Python with a problems-based approach to learning. As we work these problems, I'll explain the basics of the languages to you, and through repetition and working problems, you'll start mastering these languages, Python and JavaScript. Today we're working string fundamentals. I've selected a problem, an 8Q problem called val remover. Okay, it's going in JavaScript. We'll come into train and we'll start working on it. We start by reading the instructions. Create a function called shortcut to remove the lowercase vowels A, E, I, O, and U in a given string. Here we have some examples. So we pass in hello and we send back a string that's HLL because the E and the O have been removed. So, we look to see code wars become CDWRS, so on and so forth. Do not worry about the uppercase vowels, and Y is not considered a vowel in this kata. Okay, so we come over here to the problem. Now it's pretty much the same thing. We have the function declaration, which is function, and it's named shortcut, and in parentheses, that brings in the parameter, the string parameter. That's what we're evaluating today. We have the open bracket, open curly brace, and then down here we get the close. Okay, this is a function declaration. Okay, and so in here we want to start by working with the prep method. We evaluate the parameter, what we're accepting in to the function. Then we think about what we want to return. Then we think about some examples. We've already looked at a few examples. And then we walk through some pseudocode. Okay, so as a parameter, we're accepting a string. As you know, a string is one of JavaScript's basic, one of the basic data types. It's a sequence of text, okay, enclosed in quotation marks, single, double, quotation marks, the back tick marks, okay. So we come in here and we start working on our pseudocode, okay. And so we have the first step we want to do is, I think we want to, we're taking in a string and we want to, I want to set up a variable, okay. A variable of vowels. Okay, you'll see where I'm going with this. The next thing I want to do is split the string. Okay, I want to split it into an array. Okay, an array of letters. Okay, and then we want to compare the string array with the vowels array, and then I would want to remove vowels and then return results. Okay, so that's kind of an overview of how I want to approach this problem at first. There's many ways to solve these problems. Let's start by declaring a variable, and I want this variable to be an array of vowels. Okay, so we'll do let vowels equal, okay, we're setting up an array, and it's going to be A, E, I, O, and U. Okay, so you see I've set up an array of vowels A, E, I, O, U. Each element in the array is a string that is the A and the E and the I and the O and the U. Okay, now I want to split the string into its own array. So we'll do let ARR equal string dot split. I'll hit that again. Okay. Now you'll notice that inside here, I have the single quotation marks inside the split method, and there's only one space separating, in it between the quotation marks. That means it'll separate it into letters instead of words. Okay, so we got to Okay. Now, how do we want to do this? How do we want to compare our two separate arrays? Okay, and so I'm going to use a few, I guess, these two steps here, I'm going to put them together, kind of, okay? These two steps. So I'm going to compare and remove at the same time. And how I'm going to do this is I'm going to do set up a new variable. And we'll do new ARR1 to org. Okay, equal ARR dot filter. Okay, X. We'll use something called an arrow function. Okay, then we'll do not vowels includes X. Okay. Now I'm going to explain this for a second. So we set up a new variable, basically a new array, because what filter will do is it'll work through each element in the array, ARR array. It'll work through each element, and it'll check if the vowels array does not include X, and it'll put that item, that element, back into this newer array called array2. Okay, and what I will do is to return the results, I will do return ARR2 dot join. Okay. Okay, now if I did this right, this should work. Okay. This is one way of doing it. I'll show you a couple more. Okay, let's test it and see. Okay, it passed the test. Let's see if I get credit for it, and I'll work on a different way. All right, it passed. Okay, this is one way of solving this problem. Let me comment this out. So let's go down here. Version 1. Okay, I might though, if you're new to it, you want to learn different methods, you might want to use set up a new array, an empty array. Okay, equal empty array. Okay, now I could use an if statement, and so what I would do is start with a for loop. See, got ahead of myself. I need to split the string too, so let ARR equal string dot split. It's kind of the same thing. These methods, if you review the documentation, you'll find a lot of methods. Okay, then we start with the for loop. We'll let I equal 0, I less than ARR dot length. The length will only work up to the length of it. I plus. Okay, then we come in here. If we'll do an if statement. If ARR. Okay, we're looking at each element. We'll do a not equals a. We'll do an and ARR I not equals E and ARR I not equal AE I and AR. I ahead of myself. I not equals O and ARR I not equals U. Where are we going with this? Then we will do some. We will new ARR dot push. Push will push the element into this new array. Okay, ARR I. Okay, let's come down here. Okay, so we're iterating over the original array that was created by splitting the string, and then over the length of it, we're doing a little bit of a comparison using an if statement. So if it's not A and not E, not I, not O, not U, we're putting the element into the new array. Okay, so outside of the for loop, if we come in here and we do if we return, we run return new join using the join method, this method should work as well. And then give it a go. And it passed. Okay. See, there's another way to solve it. You work through these and you'll find a lot of ways to solve these problems. Now, these aren't the only ways to solve it. There's tons. So let's see if we get credit for it. Push submit. Okay. And you see, we come in here and we look. If you're looking, like the number one method is using something called regular expression to remove. See, so we got return string dot replace, which is a method that'll look for these characters throughout the whole string and get rid of them with, so it's replacing it. There's many ways to solve these problems. You just got to learn how to work through them and to think about what you really want to achieve, and then take your time and look through the documentation. You find like the filter method, which I used, or includes. There's a lot of ways to solve these problems in your given language. Okay, so we'll do vary because we were happy with how we were able to solve it. Now we'll switch over to our Python and give it a go and see if we can do it in Python. All right, let's go ahead and switch to Python. We'll train again. Okay. Now we see it's the same exact problem with the same situation here for removing the lowercase vowels. Okay, so we got the setup for the function def, which is a keyword for define shortcut, name of the function, parentheses with the parameter of s, which will be the string, and the colon, which is required. Okay, now, as you recall, Python is indented 4 spaces, so we come down, which that'll automatically indent 1, 2, 3, 4. See, we're 4 spaces. That means we're ready to go. Okay, and then so we're starting. We know really an overview from how we previously solved it about what we want to do. We want to turn the string into an array, or in Python, a list. We want to work through each element in that list, and if it's a vowel, do not include it. We want to get rid of it. So we'll start by creating a list. We'll start with new list equals. We'll use the list function. This is a built-in function in Python, and it'll turn the string into a list. Okay, and then we'll also create our empty new list, which is where we're going to put things as we work through this problem. So empty, a new list is an empty one right now. Now we'll go use a for loop, for n, for x in list. If this will be solved kind of like JavaScript. We'll open this because this is in Python. Each line they want you to limit it. For the style guide, they want you to limit to something like 72 characters. Okay, and so we might have to go down to another level. If x not equal a and x of s not equal e in there, and x not equal I and x not equal e-i-o, and getting ahead of myself, and x not equal u, more of a colon, because we're indenting again, because we're inside of an if statement, which is inside of a for loop. You can indent multiple levels. It just gets harder to read as you work. Okay, so we'll do that, and we'll go new l dot append x. Okay, append is kind of like push. It'll put the element inside of this new list we're working in. Okay, let's come down here. We will return Okay, since we're returning a string, we'll use the join method, and we'll put new list inside of it. Okay, now let's see if this works. All right, it passed. So what we did, we turned the string into a list with the list function, and we also created an empty list. Okay, then we come down here and we did a for loop, and we'll look through each element inside this new list that we created and compare it with an if statement. And so if the element is not A, and if it's not E, and if it's not I, and not O, and not U, we will append the element. All right, but that solves it, right? And that's one way of solving it. And you know, there's many ways, as I've said before. We could come in here and let me comment this out. Okay, I'm going to indent my 4 spaces. Wait. Okay, we could have come in here and said return. Start off with the join. We'll do x for x in s if x not in a e I o u. This is a more Pythonic way of doing it. Let's see if that works. And that one works as well. This is just a shorter method, but as you see, for this one, we're starting off with the join, turning into a string, and we'll do a list comprehension, and it'll work through each element in S, you know, using X as the variable. So if the element, for each element in S, if X is not in this little string here, it'll put it in this new string. Okay, let's get some credit for it. Okay, as you see though, if you work down through here, there's a lot of methods to solve these problems. Anyway, that's pretty much it for today. Thanks for joining in, and I really hope you learned something. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them, and we'll discuss them, and we'll learn this stuff together. And you're just going to move one step further into mastering these languages, starting from the basics and working your way up. Thanks, and have a good day. Hey, thanks for watching. Please, if you found this video helpful, like the video, hit that subscribe button, and share this video on social media. Also, feel free to leave a comment, and let's master the art of programming together. This is 80/20 Programming, your place to master the art of programming by solving problems and building projects. Hey, thanks for joining us. If you're new to this channel, I like to teach basic JavaScript and Python principles using a problems-based approach. That means we'll be in Code Wars, which is like a problem-solving platform. We'll be in the system, and we'll solve little problems, and you'll learn the basics of how to solve the problem, how to think about it, and you know how to come up with an answer. For today's problem, we're working on an 8-cube problem called cat years, dog years. Okay, now if you have a cat or a dog, sometimes you might wonder, well, since I got them as a puppy or a kitten, how old are they? You know, how are they in human years? Okay, so we're working in JavaScript, and that's the problem. So we'll hit train and come over to the platform to work. Okay, we'll review the instructions. And it says, I have a cat and a dog. I got them at the same time as a puppy and a kitten, and a puppy. That was human years ago. Return their respective ages now as an array with human years, cat years, and dog years. Note, human years greater than or equal to 1. Human years are whole numbers only. For cat years, the first year of a cat's life, they're equal to 15 human years. The second year, it's 9 additional years. And then every year after that, it's 4. Okay, and for dog years, it's 15 years for the first year, 9 more for the second, and then 5 each year after that. Okay, so We come over here, work in JavaScript, we look, and we have a function set up. Now, this is a little bit different. This is called a function, an expression, function expression. Okay, so you have cat years, human years, cat years, dog years set up as a variable with the var keyword equals function. It's a function. Human years is the parameter, so this will be a number. We already know that. And we have the opening and the closing brackets. First, we'll get rid of this. We're not going to need it. Well, yeah, we're not going to. We'll do this. Block out that return because we will need a return statement. Okay, so what we want to do is we'll walk through the prep method. Okay, so we know the parameter we're taking in is human years, and it's an integer. Okay, we want to return an array with human years, cat years, and dog years in the array. Some examples. Let's come down here to the testing section and look at a couple of the examples. Well, they don't have any examples. Anyway, if we pass in 1 human year, that means we get 1 for human years, 15 for cat, 15 for dog. We have 2 human years, 24 for cat, 24 for dog, because for the second year we're adding 9 to the 15. And this 10 is down here. This one is where it's getting a little bit tricky, and we're going to use some math to get there. And we pass in 10 as human years, so 10 for human years, 56 for cat, 64 for dog. Okay, that's what we got to figure out. Okay, so we know, and so for pseudocode, we know we will take in an integer. Okay, we want to calculate the age of cat and dog based on human years. Okay, so let's work on this. So we're taking an integer and we want to return the number. So first I want to establish a variable. I'm going to let cat age equal 0. Let dog age equal 0. Okay. Now to calculate this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use an if statement, an if-else statement. Okay. If we look up here into the MDN, this is the if-else section. The if-else statement executes a statement if a specified condition is truthy. If the condition is falsy, another statement in the optional else clause will be executed. In the MDN, they provide a little bit of a description, and they do some examples. Okay, so here's an example of an if-else statement. Function test name A, let result is a declaration of a variable. If A is greater than 0, result is positive, equals positive, else result not positive, return result. Down here, we see -5 is passed in as the parameter. This is the argument, it's the parameter, it comes in, and then the if statement evaluates it. So what we want to do is do if human years equals 1. We'll do cat age equal 15. Dog age equal 15. Okay, and then we want to bring it down. We want to do it else if human years equal 2, cat age equals 15 for that first year, plus the additional 9. Okay. Dog age equals, same thing, 15 plus 9, because they both start out as the same for the first 2 years. Here's 15 for the first, 9 for the second. Now this is where we get a little bit, I forgot my brackets. That need put one down here as well. You always got to pay attention to your syntax. You gotta have the open and the closed brackets, curly braces. Okay, so let's see. Then we'll do an else statement, more open and closing, and then we will do cat age equals. Let me see how I want to set this up. We'll do the 15 plus 9. Okay, for inside of this is using the parentheses, the order of operations. You know, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction in that order, as we learned in elementary school. 15 plus 9. We'll do another plus. Okay. Here's where it gets a little bit different because we got to go human years minus 2 because we've already counted for 2 of the years. Okay. Times 4 for cat. Now this is the setup for the cat, how to figure out the cat age beyond 2 years. And it's roughly the same for the dog age. Okay. Let's see. So we'll copy it and paste it down here. Change the variable name to dog age. Okay. Change this to 5. Okay, and this is where we're going to get into the return statement. Okay. So in the return statement, in this array, we're going to return an array. We want to put human years. We put cat age, and then finally dog age. Dog age. Okay, and so this should work it out. Let's do a test, and it passes. Okay, so what did I do? I first established 2 variables, cat age, dog age, and there's 0 at first. Then I went through an if else statement, you know, conditional. This means if human years is 1, equal to 1, cat age, dog age 15. Then we're going up to 2 years. So it's the 15 for the first year, 9 for the second, and finally we're in the above 2, and so we got to count these first 2, year 1, year 2. Then we come into this, and it's plus human years minus 2, because you know we already counted those first 2, times 4 for cats, 5 for dogs, and that returns it. And we have an answer. Now, if I wanted to, let's see if we get full credit for it. Okay, and it works. We got full credit for it. Oh, we bumped up to 49. We went up to a 7Q ranking, I believe. But anyway, that's how you would a beginner-friendly approach to solving this. But there's a lot of ways to solve it. We could have, let me see. We could have come in here and said, how would I make this simpler? Because, you know, when you look at code, you know, you write up the first time and it's a little bit long. And then you think about, well, how can I shorten it? How can I refactor it? So, you know, to make it a smaller piece of code, but make it still do the job. Okay, so this is the first way I would have done. Let me comment that out. Clear that up. Okay, so I might come in here and say, if human age equal 1, return, we will do 1, where is this? Human age. And 15. And we come down and we will do if human years, that's why it's not. Yeah, it happens. You know, you're working and you just think in your head you have an idea and not really paying attention and make a little mistake. We caught it early, so there's no harm in that. equals 2, return human years, 15 plus, is it 9? Yes, 15 plus 9, 24. 24. I don't think this break here will cause a problem because it doesn't have spaces in the return statement. Okay, so 2 little if statements here. Then we will come in here and go, okay, we'll do a return, square bracket, human age. Human age minus 2 times 4 plus 2, 4. Not block it out. Oh, see, I keep on going with the human age. My brain is somewhere else today. Okay. Okay, and we plus 4 times 24. It's supposed to be 4 times 4 plus 24. Okay. And then we will do human years, got it right this time, minus 2 times 5 plus 2, 4. Okay, it's a much shorter version. Let's see if I got everything lined up correctly and see if it works. And it does. Okay, but so we solved the problem, same kind of thing using if statements, just a much shorter version. All right, let's see if we get full credit for it. And we do. All right, as you can see, let's go back in here. There's a lot of ways to solve these. Now, I see we got the message. We ranked up. We're now 7Q in JavaScript. We're very happy with that. All right, let's look at these. See, Octanute privilege, 50 plus honor, ability to mark up comments, mark comments after. Okay. Anyway, we can. All right, you start reviewing a little bit, and you can look at these problems, and you see everybody, I guess, wanted to use some form of an if statement. We got a ternary statement here. Yeah, just you work these problems, you figure out ways to do it. Now we'll move into Python and figure out, and we'll see if we can do it in Python. And to be honest, it should be kind of similar because, in a lot of ways, these two languages have a lot of similarities. So let's do it in Python now. All right. So Python, the same problem. You see the classic, the define def, human years, cat years, dog years. This is this interesting looking way of separating words. It's called snake case. It's kind of the preferred way to do it in Python. But people declare variables in all kinds of ways. So let's clean this out. Let's see how we do it. We want to start with a variable again. Cat age equals 0. Dog age equals 0. Okay, we're starting with these two variables. We're starting at 0. Okay, now we want to do an if statement. If human years equals 1. Cat age equal cat's age, dog's age. Okay, cat's age. Okay. Dog's age equal 15. Kind of the same way we did it in JavaScript. In Python, we do an if else statement. Is actually if elif. See how I elif like I have it? Elif human years equals 2. Cat's age equal 15 plus 9. Dog's age equals 15 plus 9. Alright. Elif human years. We'll greater than 2, if it's greater than 2, cat's age equals, we'll kind of do it just the same way we did in JavaScript. Plus 9, and we'll do plus human years minus 2 times 4. That's for cat's age, and then for dog's age, we're just going to copy it down because it's almost the exact same formula. We just got to change the variable in a number. We'll change this to dog's age. Change this to a 5. Right. Okay. And then we will return what we have found out. So return, kind of the same way in JavaScript. Human years, cat's age, both songs, dog's age. All right. Now let's see. Okay, so this should return a list that has the human years, cat's age, and the dog's age based on whatever this variable is at the time. Let's test it and see what we got. And we passed. Okay. So it's just, another way of solving it. Let's see if we get full credit. And yes, we did. We all 103 tests passed. You can look down here and you can see the kind of tests they run. And this right here could be a little handy. Say you're working on these problems and you keep getting it wrong. You think you're on the way and you think you got your code working, but then it's a little bit wrong. What I like to do is come here and push submit, and it'll open up and you'll get everything they tested for in the test, or you should anyway. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. Usually it does. It'll open up and you can see what they've tested for, so you can maybe do a little bit of reverse engineering and figure it out. But that's what I tend to do. Let's go in here and do submit, get full credit. All right. Okay, and then I've ranked up to 7Q in Python. Good. Right. So anyway, you can come in here after you've solved it, and you can look and you can see what other people are doing. A lot of people use the if, elif, else statements. Okay. Some people make it Pythonic and make it really, really condensed, and so like this will evaluate everything that we've said in the if statement. It's just one line. I'm using an if, elif, else, if and else statements. People get creative with this, and you can do that too. But the key is solve the problem, and then once you solve it, pick it apart and rework it and make it smaller and make it work that way. And then keep refactoring it down until you get a really simple version of what you first created. But that's what people do, and hope you learned something, and thanks for tuning in. Hey, thanks for watching. Please, if you found this video helpful, like the video, hit that subscribe button, and share this video on social media. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let's master the art of programming together.